this video we are going to fit several wall units. I'm fitting the wall units before I install the base units below, but you can install the base units first if you prefer. We need to consult the instructions before starting. These explain how the brackets and adjustment system work in detail. These work by installing two wall mounting plates onto the wall in the correct place. Then the wall unit will hang from the plates. You can then use the adjustment screws to adjust the unit so that it is perfectly aligned with the next unit. There are three screws. One adjusts the height, the other adjusts the depth, and the final one locks the unit in position. The cabinet hangers require fitting to each unit. These are left and right handed. Simply slide the hanger into the ready-made holes, then push down the lever. This will lock the hangers in position. If we consult the plan, we have 5 wall units to fit on this wall, starting with a 300 wall unit, then a 600 bifold wall unit. I'm purposely missing these two units from this video as there was a cable in the way of the mounting plates, so I'll cover that in another video. Obviously, because we have a tall unit in the corner and a tall end panel installed, we need to get the top of these units in line with the top of the existing units. We also need to get the units as close to each other as possible. I now have a scrap piece of chipboard which is the same thickness as the units. And I'm using a 1mm shim. I'm using these two to get the correct distance for the wall hanging plate. Once I have drawn a pencil line, I can fix the plate anywhere to the left of the pencil line, providing it's not too far. Now we just need to work out the height of all the wall fixing plates. I've measured from the top of the fixing plate to the top of the unit, and I have set the laser level up to project a beam along the wall. I can now set the top of all fixing plates with this line, and I can be certain that they will be perfect. If you don't have a laser level, you can draw in a faint line using a spirit level and a pencil. Sometimes you have to improvise, so I had to clamp some scrap timber to an architrave in order to get the laser line at the correct height. To get the distance for the next bracket, you can measure the distance between the two cabinet hangers and transfer that measurement onto the wall. When I installed the tall end panel, I drove a screw through the tall end panel into one of the studs that I used for fixing the tall wall units. This prevents the tall end panel from moving. I'm now drilling through the first wall unit into the tall end panel, and I'm fixing that to the tall end panel. Obviously, the unit needs to be completely level and plumb and needs to be in the correct position. With the cabinet hangers, you can normally adjust the height of the unit between 12mm and 25mm depending on the manufacturer. Each unit needs aligning exactly with the next unit. This is achieved by adjusting the cabinet adjusting screws. You can use a clamp to help with this. Once the units are aligned perfectly, you can lock them in position and fix them to the next cabinet, preferably using cabinet connecting bolts. So we now know where the wall fixing plates need fixing. We can now continue. It's critical that you check for pipes or cables before drilling the wall. In this kitchen it's relatively easy as we can see where the pipes and cables are. I'm holding the wall fixing plate in position, marking the two fixing holes. This wall is dot and dab, so we are using Corefix fixings. I have also used Rigifix fixings for wall units, but Corefix are quick and more readily available. If you are fixing to a solid wall, you can use some wall plugs and long screws. If I remember rightly, 4-inch screws are recommended for wall unit wall plates. If your wall is a stud partition wall, you need to fix to suitable studs, as plasterboard fixings are not recommended. I will be making another video about hanging wall units when pipes or cables are in the way, and that should offer some solutions. Now that the holes are marked, I'm using a small SDS drill. When I drill through the plasterboard, I am not using hammer action. I then turn the hammer action on when I hit the solid wall behind. The holes for the Corefix need to be 10mm diameter and 100mm deep. I can then knock in the plugs, then the metal inserts, and then the wall fixing plates can be screwed to the wall. I have done a dedicated video on the Corefix fixings, which I'll link to in the description. Once you have two of the wall mounting plates firmly fixed to the wall, you can then lift the wall unit into position. With some of the wall units, I removed the doors to make them lighter, but I didn't do this on all units. Wall units are much easier to install than tall wall units, providing you get the wall mounting plates in the correct position. Once the unit is located on the wall fixing plates, it can be adjusted using the adjusting screws in each corner. I managed to do 4 of these with no issues, but I never checked that the cabinet adjusters were adjusted correctly. I hung a 600 bifold wall unit onto the fixing plates and the unit fell. Luckily I caught it without it hitting the floor, but I did scratch the lovely paintwork, which needed repainting anyway, as the green section is an inch too low. I was lucky that the supervisor was also there to help. Once all the wall units are fitted, you can push in covers to hide the holes in the unit. It is also recommended to put a screw through the centre of the unit directly into the wall. I simply used a long masonry screw for this purpose. So I drilled a hole through the unit using a countersinking bit. I then drilled directly through the plasterboard and into the concrete block. Then used a long masonry screw, which will cut its own thread into the concrete. Obviously this screw just needs a screw cap on it to cover it up. Every time you fit a wall unit, you just need to use a scrap piece of material and the 1mm shim each time to position your next bracket. Once all units are fitted, you just need to cut and fit a wall unit end panel, which will be covered in another video. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. Please check out the other kitchen fitting videos in this playlist.